Every day is the accurate time frame, not in the acute, foregrounded, consuming the majority of the day way that the phrase might imply. The avoidance management system is too effective for the no contact's impact to occupy the foreground of every waking hour across the entire duration of the no contact. But in the specific, background, below the management but continuously present way that significant interior events operate in the avoidance psychology. Every day, something related to the no contact is happening in the avoidance interior. The something varies in its form and its intensity across the no contact's duration. It changes character as the stages examined in earlier pieces progress, becomes different things at different points in the timeline. But it is present every day, in the background, in the management's continuous, expensive, resource-consuming operation against it. What follows is the honest, day-by-day reality of what the avoidant is doing and experiencing across the no-contact period, not as a comforting narrative about consequences being administered to someone who hurt you, but as the accurate, psychologically honest mapping of what actually happens in the avoidance interior when the specific quality of your absence has been registered and is being carried. In the morning. The morning is the avoidant's most defended time. The management system, having had the night to partially restore its resources after the previous day's depletion, is operating at its highest daily capacity in the morning hours. The composure is most intact. The self-sufficiency narrative is most available as the organizing framework for the day. The avoidant wakes, and the first moments of consciousness produce the specific, brief, unguarded quality of someone who has not yet fully assembled the day's management. And in those moments, before the assembly is complete, the interior's honest content is most accessible. You are in those moments. Not as a foregrounded, consuming thought, not the cinematic, montage of memories quality of how loss is sometimes depicted, as a presence. The specific, ambient, slightly wrong texture to the ordinary quality of someone whose morning awareness is not quite the morning awareness of someone whose interior landscape is in equilibrium. Something is different, something has changed in the landscape. The management assembles quickly and covers the difference with the day's structure, the tasks, the plans, the forward motion of a person who is not dwelling, but the difference was present in the moments before the covering. The avoidant begins the day with the no contact already in the background of their interior, already running beneath the day's structure as the thing the day's structure is, in part, being constructed to manage against, during the day. The day's activities are the management's primary tool. The work, the commitments, the social engagements, the various tasks that constitute the surface of a functional life, all of these are genuinely engaged with, genuinely attended to, genuinely producing the outputs that the avoidant's functional life requires. The avoidant is not checked out of the day's activities. They are present in them, with the specific, slightly elevated quality of presence that someone in active management produces, present with more deliberateness than ease, engaged with more direction than natural flow, attending to the external with the specific, below-conscious quality of someone who is using the external to manage the internal. The intrusions arrive through the gaps. The moment between tasks when the external structure briefly releases and the interior's content pushes toward the surface before the next task is assembled. The specific, peripheral awareness quality of encountering something, an object, a phrase, a sensory detail that carries your particular association and produces the brief, specific, arriving before the management can intercept quality of the association's full content. The avoidant does not sit with these intrusions. The management intercepts and redirects with the practiced efficiency of a system that has been running this particular protocol since the no contact began. The intrusion arrives and is redirected. The redirection is not always clean. The intercept is not always fast enough to prevent the intrusion's content from leaving a residue of the feeling it carried, but the management gets there. The day continues. What the avoidant does not do is acknowledge the intrusions as what they are. They are not catalogued as evidence of the no contact's impact on the interior. They are not registered as the specific priority level data points they represent. They are managed around, intercepted, redirected, dissolved into the day's forward motion as quickly as the management can dissolve them. Every day, multiple intrusions, Every day, the management's continuous, resource-consuming work of intercepting and redirecting. Every day, the specific cumulative cost of running this level of management against this volume of interior content. The checking every day, in some form, the avoidant checks. Not always in the same form, the form varies with the specific avoidant, the specific stage of the no contacts timeline, the specific degree to which the management's authority over the impulse has weakened or strengthened on any given day. But in some form, the checking happens. The most common form is the peripheral monitoring. The specific, not quite intentional, attending to the channels through which information about you might move. The awareness that exists in the background of ordinary activities, the social periphery, the mutual connections, the various indirect routes through which evidence of your current existence might arrive, receiving more of the avoidance background attention than the neutral description of those channels as simply aspects of the social world would account for. The direct form is the actual looking, the name in the search field that is typed and sometimes completed and sometimes deleted before the search runs, the profile that is visited with the specific management trying not to sanction this quality of someone who is doing something their system is not officially permitting. The checking that occurs in the nighttime hours when the management's capacity is most reduced, examined in the nighttime piece, with the specific, guilty, management-corded afterward quality of someone who has done something the management's daytime authority would not have allowed. The avoidant does not check because they are strategically monitoring you. They check because the interior's orientation toward you has not been resolved by the no contact, has been, in fact, intensified by the specific, loss-registering, management-pressuring quality of the no contact's accumulation. The checking is the interior's orientation, finding the minimum available expression that the management will permit before intercepting it. The checking is the caring that cannot go anywhere else, going to the only place the management has not fully closed. Every day. In some form, the checking happens, the comparison. Every day, in the ordinary course of the avoidant's continued life, the interactions with other people, the encounters with new potential connections, the social engagements that are partly being used as management tools against the no contact's interior weight, the comparison runs. It is not deliberate. The avoidant is not sitting with a mental checklist of your qualities and assessing each new person against it with the conscious intention of determining whether they measure up. The comparison is automatic. It is the monitoring system performing its assessment function on new inputs and producing, as a natural output of that function, the specific reading that the current input does not produce what your input produced. The specific quality is absent. Whatever it is that makes you you, the particular configuration of perception and depth and groundedness and genuine interiority that the earlier pieces have examined is not present in the people the avoidant encounters in the day. This is not a judgment on those people. It is a calibration reading. The monitoring system is calibrated now on the specific frequency of what genuine connection with you felt like, and the calibration produces, in every subsequent encounter, the specific reading of the gap between the current input and the calibrated standard. Every day, the comparison runs. Every day, the gap is registered. Every day, the comparative diminishment examined in the earlier pieces accumulates another day's worth of evidence against the narrative that the no contact was reasonable, that the loss was manageable, that the specific quality of what was lost is the kind of quality the world readily provides again. It does not readily provide it again. Every day, the evidence for this accumulates, the construction. Every day, the avoidant constructs something, not physically, internally, the specific, interior, narrative-building activity of someone who is working to make the no-contact situation comprehensible within a framework that does not require the full, honest, management-threatening accounting of what produced it. The construction takes different forms at different stages of the no-contact. Early, it takes the form of the relief narrative, the accommodation of the no contact as the natural resolution of a connection that had run its course, the narrative that makes the absence feel like completion rather than loss. Later, as the relief narrative becomes insufficient against the accumulating weight of the specific absence, the construction takes more sophisticated forms, the narratives that preserve the self-sufficiency story while acknowledging the loss, the framings that locate the loss in incompatibility or circumstances rather than in the avoidance choices and their consequences. The construction is daily work. It requires maintenance because the evidence against it is also daily. The intrusions, the comparisons, the checking, the quality of the mornings. The narrative is being maintained against a continuous, patient, impersonal accumulation of evidence that is not arguing with the narrative, but is simply through the ongoing experience of the no-contact's interior reality being incompatible with it. Every day, the construction, every day, the maintenance, every day, the slightly higher cost of maintaining something against evidence that keeps arriving. The almost. Every day, in some form, the avoidant almost does something they do not do. Almost sends the message, almost makes the call, almost does the thing that would end the no contact on their side, the reaching out that the management, at the last moment, intercepts and redirects. The almost is not always conscious. Sometimes it is the completed impulse that arrives at the action's threshold and is caught there by the management before it becomes the action. Sometimes it is the impulse that never quite reaches the threshold, but is present in the interior as a directional force, the specific, management-constrained wanting that is continuously exerting its pressure on the management's authority without quite generating the force to break through. The almost happens every day because the wanting that generates it is present every day. The wanting does not take days off. The management's authority varies. It is strongest in the mornings, weakest at night, moderately effective in the day's structured hours, but the wanting is continuous. And the continuous wanting, meeting the variable management authority, produces the almost with a frequency that reflects the wanting's persistence. The almost is one of the most honest indicators of the no-contact's interior impact on the avoidant. Every almost is a moment where the interior's genuine orientation toward you was strong enough to generate the impulse toward action, and the management was barely strong enough to prevent the action from occurring. Every almost is a data point in the honest accounting of what the no-contact is costing the avoidance interior to maintain against. Every day, multiple times, the almost. The night. The night time has been examined in its own piece, and the examination applies here. Every day ends with the night, and every night the management's resources are most depleted, and every night the interior's content is most available to itself without the management's full authority. Every night you are present in the avoidance interior in the specific, unmanaged, management-depleted quality of the nighttime hours. The replay, the unsent message, the checking that the daytime management would have intercepted, the question that does not have a useful answer, but that the interior keeps arriving at regardless, the specific, honest, management offline at the edges quality of someone whose most private interior is carrying something significant and whose nighttime hours are the hours when the carrying is least concealed from the carrier themselves. Every day ends with this. Every day begins with the management reassembling against it. And in between, in the day's hours, in the checking and the comparisons and the constructions and the almosts, the no contact is present in the background. In the specific, continuous, management-consuming, resource-depleting, interior-affecting way of something that is not nothing. The no contact is not nothing to the avoidant. Every day is the evidence. In the mornings that start with the specific pre-management awareness of something different. In the intrusions that the day's structure is being used to manage against. In the checking that happens in whatever form the management permits on that particular day. In the comparison that runs automatically and produces the same reading each time. In the construction that requires daily maintenance against daily evidence. In the almost that happens multiple times and is caught multiple times by the management's authority. In the night that ends the day with the interior's most honest hours. Every day. The no contact is doing its work in the specific interior, management-consuming, consequence-producing way of something that matters more than the managed exterior was ever going to show,